You're right, Stan. I love you.
Dude, how did you pull all that off? ChatGPT, dude.
ChatGPT was released on November 30th, 2022, and this episode of South Park came out about 3 months later on March 8th, 2023, just as ChatGPT was starting to become a household name. The ability to react to current events and trends while they're still current and trendy has long set South Park apart from other animated series. This simple fact goes a long way to explaining why, unlike most of their competitors, South Park is still relevant after 27 years.
My opponent is a liar and he cannot be trusted. No!
Oh my god, she is such a turd sandwich.
As any South Park fan could probably tell you, Trey Parker met Matt Stone in a film class at the University of Colorado in 1992. They bonded over a love of Monty Python and soon went to work making a stop-motion short called The Spirit of Christmas. Now popularly known as Jesus vs. Frosty, that roughly 4-minute cartoon featured early prototypes that would eventually become the South Park characters, animated with construction paper cutouts. This do-it-yourself ethos would imbue everything that Stone and Parker would make going forward, and specifically would function as the backbone of how their work remains both timely and evergreen in the same instance. You see, the TV show that evolved out of this short film, South Park, is no ordinary cartoon. Most animated productions, a prime example being The Simpsons, have a writer's room that creates detailed scripts and then get transformed into storyboards and then laboriously animated, often with the assistance of production companies in Korea or other Asian countries. Traditional animation can take 8 to 10 months to complete. South Park, however, is a completely different story. The series pilot of South Park was created using the aforementioned construction paper cutout method. It looked cool, but the process took 3 months. Wanting a faster turnaround time, Parker and Stone switched over to making the show with computer animation software, specifically Autodesk Maya. This might not seem like a big deal. Lots of shows are animated using digital software. However, it's what Parker and Stone choose to do with it that sets them apart. In a nutshell, South Park doesn't start a season with its episodes completed or even scripted. Production of an episode actually starts the Thursday before its broadcast, when Parker and Stone brainstorm with their writing consultants to come up with a story. A script is then written, and the episode is animated and voiced, finally being delivered to Comedy Central on Wednesday, often just before it airs on Thursday. The whole process takes a grand total of 1 week, and team members will often work well over 100 hours over the course of that week. This methodology might seem like something that's not conducive to a great work environment, but like the old saying goes, pain is temporary, film is forever. And when it comes to South Park, that dictum is definitely true. The rapid turnaround of the production cycle enables Parker and Stone to respond almost in real time to what's happening in the culture. At its worst, the show feels like a series of jokey meme references, but at its best, the show takes timely references mined from the headlines and transforms them into jokes that audiences are still repeating decades later.
Don't be sad for me, guys. I'm going home!
Now let's take a step back and look at what The Simpsons have been doing for 36 seasons. They originally had humble beginnings, much like South Park, starting as a series of shorts inside the Tracy Ullman Show. However, the meteoric rise of this quintessentially suburban family yielded something no one could have expected: the longest-running American animated series of all time. The show was so popular because the craft behind its production was taken exceedingly seriously. A full writing staff of Harvard and Yale alumni in the early seasons, meticulously constructed jokes, ornately produced animation, and even a fully unionized crew. The Simpsons' cultural dominance in the 90s was almost unrivaled, and yet today, when was the last time you even heard someone talk about the show? Recently, season 36 opened with a spoof of how television shows handle series finales. It was titled Bart's Birthday. It attempted to deconstruct the tropes of how shows attempt to end themselves. But other than visual parody here and a stray gag there, was there anything truly memorable about this episode? No, because it just felt like something the writers wanted to experiment with, because literally, The Simpsons might never end. The episode wasn't actually tied to anything culturally meaningful. It also just wasn't that funny. The days of Conan O'Brien, John Vitti, and Greg Daniels being stalwart writers cranking out witty banter and farcical premises with ease are long gone. South Park, on the other hand, approaches the problem of remaining funny from a completely different perspective. The show is being channeled directly from a single pair of creative minds. It's a reflection on their views of comedy, so when they choose to make an evergreen episode, they're distinctly still in line with the show's voice. However, their bread and butter really is the timely, real-world reactive episodes, much like how Saturday Night Live is at its best when it's reacting in real time to politics or real-world events.
Well,
Well, look who fell out of that coconut tree.
The Simpsons must rely on allegory or metaphor to speak truth to power because of the production pipeline. South Park usually addresses these issues literally while they're still in the headlines. In theory, both of these are valid approaches to storytelling. Unfortunately, after around season 9, The Simpsons just stopped being actually funny. South Park has repeatedly managed to put out hilarious episodes reacting to the specific world events, enabling them to mock both sides of the latest outrage of the day. The 2005 episode Best Friends Forever, for example, which satirized the media frenzy about the Terry Schiavo case, was put together at the last minute after Parker and Stone saw how much attention the issue was getting and felt they needed to address it. The episode, which aired just hours before the real-life Schiavo passed away, won the duo an Emmy. And more recently, in 2022, the series became the first scripted show to mention the Russian invasion of Ukraine in Back to the Cold War, an episode that aired just 6 days after the invasion began. These episodes are filled with quintessential South Park humor. The joke structures, character beats, and their ability to cut down political leaders feels as insightful and necessary today as it did when the show first went on air. Compare that to The Simpsons, and it's not even apples to oranges. It's apples to a box of half-eaten moldy jujubes. A large component of this is the production pipeline, sure, but it's also the way the episodes are written at The Simpsons now. In the more recent seasons, the writer's room will break a story together, and then one person will stand at the front of the room with final draft open, they'll read it live, and everyone else will literally just pitch potential jokes, line by line. This is television by committee. It's death by 1,000 cuts. It's a process that's not going to yield comedy gold. There's no authorial voice when everyone in the room is just trying to think of the best zinger. It's no doubt that The Simpsons still has an enormous fan base, but it's composed largely of pure inertia. The network television apparatus needs them to exist. Local markets, ad buyers, and people who haven't cut their cords yet need their long-running staples to gravitate towards. Are they hulking, shambling shadows of their former selves? Absolutely, but they'll probably exist for as long as network TV stays a cultural pivot point. South Park, on the other hand, is a show that works because it's harnessing chaos. It's born out of a frenzied mad dash of creative spirit. That energy, that spontaneity, is everywhere in the finished product. It's a show that has a point of view, a real human perspective, because it's largely created from the brains of two individuals. It's a show that has a real reason to exist, to lampoon power in all its forms. Why is there a 36th season of The Simpsons? Because they're a globally recognized brand with theme parks, Happy Meal toys, and Snuggies available at Target. Why do people tune into South Park? Because Matt Stone and Trey Parker are reacting in real time to what's happening in our culture, almost live before our eyes. It's like watching two people perform a high-wire tightrope act successfully for 26 seasons in a row. It's magic.
Yeah, let's arrest the white leprechaun. 'Cause, can't have one day for a mostly white culture, right? Don't want to get canceled.
But what do you think? Were you ever a fan of South Park? And if so, do you agree they've still got it? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely find others you'll like if you check out the rest of the channel. As always, thank you for subscribing to Nerdstalgic.